Has this ever happened to you? The water coming from this E-61 group has taken on a stale, oxidized flavor and smell and a sharp, metallic aftertaste. I suspect it's related to oxide formation. I've checked and eliminated the internal reservoir, the pump, the brew boiler, the copper tubing, and the top chamber of the group with the mushroom valve. The background information on how I arrived at this point is in the description. Feel free to check it out. By the way, that music you hear is me noodling on the exceptionally beautiful guitar that I modified to make it easier to play at my age. I have a recent video about that project. The link should be showing up right about now. I suspect I'll find the cause of this off flavor in the chamber with the cam and the cam axle. That's the only place where brewing water would be exposed to oxide particles caused by metal-on-metal friction. And the water in that chamber, of course, goes into your coffee. We'll have to do a little disassembly and cleaning and lubricating. So let's make a start, shall we? Oh my God.
It's like a miracle.
I'm going to begin by removing the top nut and also the pre-infusion chamber below to take spring pressure off the cam before removing the cam housing. I'm going to remove all the springs and valves because I want to clean everything. Next, do yourself a favor and remove the entire cam assembly and separate the two halves on the bench. There's never a reason to remove the end cap while the assembly is mounted on the machine. For example, if you want to clean, lube, or replace the donuts, that will be quite a chore with the axle in place, and you can't remove the axle while this is mounted. So, whether you're servicing it or cleaning it, do it on the bench. Here's the pre-infusion chamber. You can hold the part and the wrench in one hand. It is a bit awkward. Take care removing the exhaust chamber cap. The spring inside is short but quite stiff. Handle it like a champagne cork. That is, keep your hand on it all the time. Wipe all of the parts with a cloth to remove grease and loose crud. Now we'll take the cam housing apart. Here you'll find the cam and axle, a spring, a brass sleeve, and 3 synthetic rubber donuts. All need cleaning and lubricating. This is the area where friction can result in actual metal or oxide particles in the water. So we want to take this apart completely and clean everything thoroughly and lubricate it all very carefully. I'm going to use a solution of kefitsa and boiling water. I don't use it regularly for flushing, but I will use it for soaking. Some of these parts are plated and we want to avoid staining, so 10 minutes would be my maximum exposure time here. You can use a brush and some of the solution to clean the chamber in the group where the cam resides and operates. Just pour fresh water down the top and rinse it after about 10 minutes or so. You can use the solution to clean the 2 water passages in the group head with small flexible brushes. Notice there's a hole there for the cam axle to rotate in. That will need to be lubricated too when it's time to put it together. While everything is soaking, let's talk about lubricants. I'm acquainted with 3 food-safe ones. First is Haynes Lubrifilm. This is a grease, meaning basically thickened oil. It works by preventing metal-to-metal contact. It's been a staple of the food service industry for quite some time. It's flavorless and heat-tolerant and has some load-bearing strength. But unfortunately, it's very low-tack and too light-bodied to stand up to water flowing over it. So I wouldn't recommend it here. It would wash away quickly. The second is Kluber UH1 84201. Again, food safe. This is a lubricating paste, not a grease, which means it lays down lubricant particles that fill tiny surface irregularities and allow for direct contact between surfaces with some lubrication, even if the paste is worn or washed away. This has the highest load-bearing ability of the 3, and it's moderately tacky, but it won't withstand water flowing over it for any length of time. Finally, we have Dow 111, which is a silicone grease with very little in the way of load-bearing ability, but it is very heat-tolerant and very tacky, so it stays where you put it for quite some time. Dow says it's been proved to extend the life of synthetic O-rings and seals, even in very high-temperature applications, and that is its primary use. There is no ideal lubricant for this application, so far as I know. We're talking about lubricating metal parts essentially underwater. But this is as good as it gets, and it has value as a general seal and O-ring lube, and it's cheap and available pretty much everywhere. So it's my first choice. And with everything clean and thoroughly rinsed, we'll start putting it back together. When you reassemble this, use plenty of lubricant, then wipe off the excess with your fingers. Not a cloth. You need to feel what you're doing so that you get a continuous, thin film on all the surfaces. Lube the donuts and the axle more generously. I always leave the cap loosely done up so that the axle can slide through without any interference from the little brass collar, which could be slightly misaligned. The exhaust cap should be on the bench, well supported, and you should press the pre-infusion chamber down onto it to compress the spring easily. When you insert this assembly, the cam lobe faces you. Extend the axle a good distance so that you can easily feel the end of it located properly in the casting. I leave everything hand tight at this point. We can snug it all later. Now with all the parts test fitted and feeling right, you can tighten everything. I'll fire it up, and that flavor and smell is gone. For now, anyway. I've never succeeded in exorcising it permanently, and if any of you have, do get in touch. I think it's just part of the E-61 experience. I suppose my next video should be about the techniques that you might use to delay its return for as long as possible, so you only need to do this once in a while, and also whether it's better to clean the internal parts with an oxidizing alkaline cleaner like Cafisa or a chelating acidic one like D-Scale. And I've got that one already planned. So keep in touch. Cheers!